Welcome to Mark's British Airways Fleet Update, looking at short and long-haul fleets.
It's time once again for the British Airways Fleet Update here on Mark's Trains, Planes and Trams. We'll be looking at all the latest developments across the short and long-haul fleets, including the CityFlyer and EuroFlyer subsidiaries. Make sure you like this video and drop us your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel and click for notifications. Now, let's get going with this week's update.
Let's get on with the British Airways fleet update for this week. The headlines are that we're pleased to see Echo Charlie, the A380, back from Manila, still in service reliably. Might sound as if it's a routine matter, but you know that the other A380s have not done that. Two new Airbus A321neos from Hamburg, Finkenwerder, have been delivered. A 777 turns back over the Sahara desert and lands in Barcelona, prompting a rescue mission. Another 777 runs a VIP mission with the Prime Minister to India, and the Dreamliner fleet is struggling with more of them stopped. We'll move on straight away to the CityFlyer update. The Embraer 190s from London City, Lima Charlie Yankee Kilo, remains down at Exeter for maintenance. And I want to tell you about Lima Charlie Alpha Golf. Back on the 3rd of October, BA 8756 to Belfast. The aircraft aborted efforts to land after an approach. It held over Northern Ireland but eventually diverted to Manchester. 3 flights, the 875, 58 and 8751, were all cancelled. The aircraft flew as CityFlyer 8756 up to Belfast from Manchester the next day to resume operations on the BA 8753. Other than that, a quiet week at CityFlyer. So let's go to Gatwick. No aircraft under maintenance. A little bit of drama with Echo Uniform Whiskey from London Heathrow that's now a part of the Gatwick fleet. The aircraft spent quite a bit of time out of traffic after its baggage modifications, tried to come back into service on the 7th of October. That never happened, and eventually resumed flying on the 10th. Golf Alpha Tango Uniform resumed duties after a few days out of use on the 6th of October, and that all prompted an additional Titan lease. We'll talk about that in a moment. Echo Uniform X-Ray Foxtrot, one of the Airbus A321s down at Gatwick, flew the BA 2596 to Turin, developed a fault on arrival. They cancelled the 2597 back. The aircraft was on the ground in Turin for 3 whole days, returning as Griffin 9751 from Turin to Gatwick after some attention, back in service the next morning. On that sublease from Titan, Papa Oscar Whiskey Kilo remains long-term on lease to EuroFlyer, and they also took 4 days worth of Papa Oscar Whiskey Mike from the 3rd to the 6th of October on EuroFlyer flights from Gatwick, thanks to Titan Airways. Over to London Heathrow, and Tango Tango Oscar Echo, actually, although it's in the Heathrow fleet, that's been at Gatwick since the 21st of September after transiting down from Glasgow. British Airways, of course, now taking advantage of its new facility down at Gatwick. You've also got A321 November Echo Oscar Whiskey there since the 30th of September. But maintenance continues at Glasgow with Echo Uniform Yankee Sierra, released on the 7th of October into service from Glasgow as Shuttle 7 Sierra, and that replaced in traffic the aircraft from the previous night, Echo Uniform Echo, which came up as Shuttle 6 Alpha. Echo Uniform Delta remains out of service at Glasgow, been there since the 2nd of September, and Delta Bravo Charlie Delta flew up on the 8th of October for maintenance at BA Glasgow, arriving out of traffic actually on a special positioning move, BA 92 742 aircraft over at Malta, Delta Bravo Charlie Hotel A319, and one of the Airbus A320s, Echo Uniform Yankee Tango. Echo Uniform India out of use at London Heathrow, hoping to see that back very shortly. Bit of drama with Echo Uniform Foxtrot on the BA 603, 9th of October from Istanbul's secondary airport, Sabiha Gökçen, and the aircraft diverted to Bucharest, smoke in the cabin being reported. Over a day on the ground in Bucharest, Romania, and then returning as the BA 9270 back into traffic at Heathrow on arrival. Echo Uniform Hotel flew to Basel on the 4th of October, but unable to come back the next morning as the 751. That was cancelled. The aircraft remained at Basel till the following evening, the 6th of October, back as the BA 9275. And Tango Sierra Hotel went out to Munich on the 8th of October. The return flight the next morning, 947, cancelled, and the aircraft came back that morning, maybe related to crew availability. BA 9276 back from Munich. And November Echo Oscar X-Ray, one of the A321neos, that flew to Linate in Milan on the 7th of October. The return operation 593 cancelled. The aircraft remained on the ground in Milan Linate, came back 2 days later. That's quite a while, with the BA 9279 Linate Heathrow that evening, but the aircraft back in service the next morning. Circuit training for the Heathrow short-haul pilots, 7th and 8th of October, with Echo Uniform Kilo out to Châteauroux in Paris. BA 9260 out on the morning of the 7th, back on the evening of the 8th, 9261. And new deliveries, we're waiting for the last aircraft of 2025, Tango Sierra Golf, an A320 from Hamburg. We've got 4 A320s lined up for delivery in 2026. In this week that we're reviewing, BA's received 2 brand new Airbus A321neos, Echo India, Echo Juliet, flying out as the BA 9253 and the BA 9254 on consecutive days, the 8th and 9th of October. And 2 further 321s are due next year. That's an update on the withdrawals, so maybe a couple of those aircraft disappearing now that we've had 2 new deliveries, but it looks difficult for BA to make as much progress as they'd hoped because they're just not going to receive enough aircraft. I suspect some life extension work will be commissioned on some of those aircraft. You'll find out all about it here on Mark's Trains, Planes and Trams in the next few weeks. Moving across to the long-haul fleet, X-Ray Whiskey Bravo Charlie at Abu Dhabi since the 28th of September. It remains on the ground receiving attention. X-Ray Whiskey Bravo Foxtrot out of use at Heathrow since the 1st of October, came back into service on the 6th of October, and X-Ray Whiskey Bravo Golf out of use since the 8th of October. And that takes us to the Airbus A380 fleet. Good news, X-Ray Lima Echo Charlie, which we reported last time, released from its D-check at Manila. That's gone back into traffic and it's flown every day, every service, no disruption reported. That might sound unremarkable, and it is, I suppose, but it's a real contrast to the previous 4 or 5 arrivals back from Manila, which have run into difficulty and caused cancellations, delay and disruption. So that's good news. Echo Delta, of course, remains in Manila for its D-check, and X-Ray Lima, Echo Lima, out of use at London Heathrow since the 4th of October, expecting to see that back in traffic on the evening of the 13th of October. Still nothing to report to you on the A380 refresh program. So, couple of slides now on the Boeing 777 fleet, quite a lot going on. Some of it's a little bit complicated, so Pay attention. Victor India Romeo returned from maintenance at Cardiff on the 8th of October as the BA 9171. Cardiff straight across to Gatwick, resuming commercial duties the next day out to Orlando. Victor India Tango remains under maintenance at Cardiff, been there since the 3rd of October, and Victor India Sierra out in Taipei. It's been there since the 1st of October for maintenance. Victor India Lima was flying out of Heathrow on the evening of the 5th of October, flying out to Africa, BA 83. The aircraft actually flew out over France, over the Mediterranean, and was well over the Saharan desert in Algeria when an illness of a passenger, which sadly turned into a fatality, led to the aircraft turning back. Now, of course, if you're going to land an aircraft like that for medical reasons, you only really want to land it somewhere where you've got a high degree of confidence in the medical facilities and somewhere which can respond and handle an aircraft of that nature and that size. So that meant quite a long flight back, the way the aircraft had came back to Barcelona. The aircraft landed, of course. At this point the crew were going to be out of hours and things were looking difficult, so British Airways put all the passengers up in a hotel and dispatched a rescue aircraft the next day. Victor India Yankee flew out from London Heathrow as the BA 9150 to Barcelona and then continued Speedbird 83 Delta, and Victor India Lima returned empty as the BA 9156 the next day once the crew had some rest and the standby crew took over. Victor India Oscar flew from Gatwick to Heathrow on the 6th of October. Slightly odd set of arrangements because the aircraft then worked a Baltimore rotation and then headed straight back to Gatwick. Yankee Mike Foxtrot flew to Heathrow for maintenance. Quick visit to the BA facility back the next day on the 9177 to Gatwick, and then Yankee Mike Tango flew from Heathrow to Gatwick on the 6th of October for maintenance. Of course, some people find it odd that BA is flying Gatwick aircraft to Heathrow for maintenance and Heathrow aircraft to Gatwick. I'm not entirely clear why that is. Some of you will know, but I suspect it's around the facilities, the capabilities, the availability of resource, the availability of hangar space, and so on. Yankee Mike Romeo flew out on the 7th of October on the BA 99 to Toronto, but was unable to return as the BA 98, and the aircraft was parked up at Toronto. Interestingly, some photographs on social media showed it parked next to a sequestrated Antonov freight aircraft that's been parked up at Toronto for some time. But the aircraft returned the following evening empty as the Speedbird 9604, arriving early on the 9th of October, and then the next day it was straight back to Toronto on the BA 99 again. And a little bit of difficulty for Victor India Alpha. 10th of October that headed out from London Heathrow on the BA 253 to Nassau. It's one of the few long haul flights that's left in the British Airways timetable where it continues on to a further destination, but not on that occasion. The aircraft couldn't continue from Nassau. The BA 253 to Grand Cayman cancelled. The return at 252 Grand Cayman to Nassau to London was cancelled. The aircraft remained on the ground. It was due to come back as the Speedbird 9605 empty on the 11th of October, but it couldn't make that slot. Came back the following day with a new flight number, Speedbird 9606. And while we're talking about 777s, let me tell you about 777-300 Sierra Tango Bravo India, that operated a UK government-sponsored special flight in support of a big trade mission from the UK out to India, out to Mumbai. A number of VIPs, businessmen, civil servants were aboard the flight, including UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer.
This is the Prime Minister, and a very warm welcome to BA Flight 9100 to Mumbai. This is the biggest trade mission to India that the UK has ever sent.
Deal done, but now he's gleefully coming back for more, and the feeling is mutual. Hundreds of billboards lining the highway to Mumbai to welcome Sir Keir Starmer and his delegation of around 130 chief executives, business leaders and university vice-chancellors.
Operating with the call sign Kilo Romeo Hotel, reflecting the nature of the VIPs on board, it was the 1550 out of Heathrow to Mumbai, the Indian city formerly known as Bombay. The aircraft stayed out there for, well, a sort of day and a half on the ground at Mumbai, back as Kilo Romeo Hotel 9102 from Mumbai back to London Heathrow. Some photographs and some coverage here of the trip and the arrival in Mumbai. And that moves us on to the final fleet, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner fleet, Zulu Bravo Juliet. Juliet remains at Cardiff. We know that aircraft didn't go straight into Cardiff for Club Suites fitment. Not clear why, not clear if that's now gone in, but we'll keep our eyes and ears open. Zulu Bravo Kilo Alpha has been the subject of some coverage with last week's photographs of its new interiors, particularly the World Traveller Plus cabin. But there are going to be some challenges getting that aircraft certified and signed off, because the FAA, Federal Aviation Authority out in the US, need to be involved, and the federal government of the US is being closed down with a funding crisis. So let's see what happens. Zulu Bravo Lima Alpha appears stuck on the ground at Heathrow awaiting engine components, and Zulu Bravo Juliet Bravo flew back from Cardiff on the 5th of October after some attention in the BA maintenance facility down at Cardiff, and it was due to be replaced by Zulu Bravo Kilo Oscar that was rostered onto the BA 9173 to Cardiff on the 7th of October, but a shortage of aircraft led to British Airways using the aircraft on a rotation out to Mexico City, and once it had been to Mexico City and back, the aircraft then flew to Cardiff the following day as BA 9170. And here's our table of Dreamliners that are not available. That number's gone up to 24% of the fleet, so 10 aircraft currently not available, and you can see here 5 aircraft stored with Rolls-Royce engine issues, a Cardiff maintenance and a Heathrow maintenance. 2 Heathrow maintenances actually, and then Club Suites fitment in due course. So that's the position, not great. And of course, one of the things we'll have to start thinking about is British Airways has been quite ambitious around its summer 2026 schedules. It's announced quite a lot of extra flights in the schedules, and we will have to see how they get on with that. They're relying on getting a lot of these aircraft back in traffic with Rolls-Royce engines working. They're also hoping to start receiving the first of their General Electric engined 787-10s. Now, if neither of those things happen, they're going to have to prune back the 2026 timetable quite a bit. So we'll watch that over the next few weeks and the next few months with interest. And that's it. Thanks to everyone for watching this British Airways fleet update that comes to you here on Mark's Trains, Planes and Trams. Do like the video. You may think, oh, what difference does it make? Well, it makes a lot of difference, actually. The YouTube algorithm does reward the videos that get appreciation, and if you can like the video, I really appreciate it. And what's also great is if you can drop a comment, either a comment about what you think of the video, or maybe some thoughts on the information I've provided, or maybe some additional information you think will help me on the channel. And talking of information, one of the places that's always helpful for getting me ready for this each week is Flyer Talk, which is a website which many of you I know look at anyway, but there's hints and tips, information, pointers for deeper research, and I'd commend the Flyer Talk British Airways pages to you for the latest information, updates and discussion on all sorts of matters, BA, not just about the fleet, but about ticketing and catering and the British Airways Club and the lounges and all sorts of other stuff. So do go and take a look at that. And I'll catch you here again, well, very soon, probably in about a week's time on Mark's Trains, Planes and Trams for a British Airways fleet update.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe and click the notification button so you don't miss any of the great trips Mark has coming your way on this YouTube channel.